Tired of restless nights? At Leesa, they know good sleep is essential for mental, physical, and emotional health. From memory foam mattresses to hybrids that keep you cool all night long, Leesa's mattresses offer exceptional comfort and support, with free delivery and 100 nights to try out your mattress in the comfort of your home. Go to Leesa.com today and get 20% off all mattresses. That's LEESA.com and use code IHEART for an extra $50 off your purchase. Remember, no matter who you are, there's a Leesa just for you.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com. ODOO.com.
So they just spent the entire episode talking about war with Grandpa?
Yep, the entire episode was about war with Grandpa.
See, why don't we do shit like that?
Right? I think people would like it.
I think they would.
Oh, holy shit. What happened in here?
Did we do, like, sleep shenanigans again? What's going on?
Nope. Welcome to the 70s, boys.
Wait, Noah, you're smoking again?
No, not again. I was smoking in the 70s.
And so was I. Steak, Heath? Good for the heart. You can have so much of it now. Steak.
Love it. Yes, yes. Love it here. This is the best.
Wait till you see the porn, Heath.
Nice.
Guys, don't show Heath 1970s porn. Look, nobody likes pre-show shenanigans more than me, but the 70s had some major problems. And all this stuff, the smoking, the steak, that all turned out to be really bad for you, plus a bunch of other stuff.
Man, he's right.
Thank you, Noah. A little bit of reason.
All right, Eli. I guess you don't want these sleep drops it was legal to give your baby in the 70s either. I'll just throw them away, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to use them, so.
I mean, I hear menthol is actually good for your throat. Doctors said that one.
This? Yeah. No, doctors.
Oh, well, here you go. You can have these.
Man, this is a lot of pubic hair.
Yeah, that is a...
Yeah, it's not that much.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, a podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts. Because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Heath, and Ben Shapiro's wife told him that a wet vagina is a disease. And speaking of which, I'm joined by our usual team of dehumidifiers. First up, two men whose beards are recommended by Cardi B to replace a bucket and a mop for cleanup scenarios, Tom and Cecil.
Okay, well, I just think it's nice to bring both the problem and the solution to the party. That's just...
I didn't say you were invited to the party. Just to clean up.
It hurts my feelings.
When she says, give me everything you got, the longest thing I can offer her is my beard. So I might as well.
And we also have two men whose moobs are recommended by Cardi B for preventing the cleanup scenario in the first place. Me and Eli.
Okay.
I'm here. Oh, you're going to go?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am drinking this mango nectar for you, people. It's a slip and fall issue, okay?
It's about safety. It's about safety.
Whoa.
And also, Noah is here and capable of pleasing a woman. Did you know he can power a broken Hitachi wand with nothing but rage from a Facebook post?
It's true. We've seen him do it.
Depends on the Facebook post. But I also, by the way, say a lot of names really fast at the end of Scathing Atheist. Ladies.
Noah not being fat at all fucks up a lot of my groupings when I'm trying to do these things.
Apologize for
fat
that.
Noah
I'm
would be
working on
great.
it.
I was
Fat
hoping
Noah, get fat, man.
fingers crossed and when he quit smoking.
Come on.
Because Fat Noah would have been awesome. And he had just been like, oh, goodness, this fucking buffet table's getting in my way. It would have been great.
What?
But he
Do
stayed
it for the
same.
comedy. Asshole.
He just
So
breathed
tell us,
out.
Noah, since you're the only person who could possibly come close to correctly pronouncing the name of the patron who made the recommendation, What person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event are we going to be talking about today, and who gave us the idea?
Yeah, no, actually, that's why I did this one, so that I wouldn't have learned that pronunciation for one fucking use. On the suggestion of patron Eyjafjallajökull, the Icelandic volcano, we're going to be talking about Times Beach, Missouri.
Cool. Just barely edged out my recommendation of the strip mall in Kansas. Great. So what is Times Beach?
It's a ghost town in Missouri that was hastily abandoned after the municipal government paid some redneck farmer to spend 4 years spraying extremely toxic industrial waste on all their roads.
Okay. Withdrawn. They clearly wanted a citation needed episode, and they fucking earned it.
There
So
you
go
go.
ahead.
I did.
All right. So Times Beach was founded on the floodplain of the Merrimack River in 1925 by the now defunct St. Louis Star-Times newspaper. No idea why a company that would try to found a town on the floodplain of a major river would go out of business, but there you have it. Anyway, the idea was to parcel up the land and sell it to wealthy people in and around St. Louis so they could put up summer homes. You even got a 6-month subscription to the paper for free when you bought a lot.
Wow. The only thing more worthless than St. Louis real estate is a subscription to a print newspaper. Yeah, that's great.
Extra, you moved in. that's all I got.
It's the end of the newspaper.
All right. So anyway, this happened in 1925. Black Tuesday happened in 1929. Needless to say, the Great Depression put a bit of a damper on the summer home market for a few years. And Times Beach never lived up to the expectations it was born with. Instead, it wound up a low-income community on the fringes of St. Louis with a population of about 1,200 people by 1970.
Right. But if it weren't for the Depression, that floodplain near St. Louis would have been Miami fucking Beach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like shouldn't a vacation community have a wealthy nearby city to draw its residents from?
Right.
Like, did I miss? I keep trying to get away from St. Louis, but I'm not sure a vacation is what people have in mind when they do that. What?
All right. So now, well, to be clear, like this town we're talking about, this was a shithole by St. Louis standards.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Like, the
Wow.
Merrimack River is easy to overlook when you've got the Missouri River a dozen miles to your north and the mighty motherfucking Mississippi a dozen miles to your east. But it's decidedly harder to ignore when it's in your front yard, which was the case for residents of Times Beach all the damn time, which again was built on a goddamn floodplain. Right. Like, so in fact, most of its earliest homes and businesses were built on stilts. So it's not like they didn't know that this was going to be a problem.
Oh, these sticks under the house, they are so that the house can be in a movie with Nicole Kidman.
All right, let's zip line in. Cool. Check out the house.
I gotta say though, like the Overwater bungalow was a ballsy Midwestern American real estate choice. Like,
Right? Being underwater, though, would eventually become the least of Time Beach's concerns. And to understand that, we have to introduce the villain in this story, which will be played by the Northeastern Pharmaceutical and Chemical Company, Inc., or NEPACO. They were owned by Hoffman Taff, a company famous for producing Agent Orange during the Vietnam War.
what
And
could go
it-
wrong?
Yeah, right?
They still exist after that.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, they sold a lot of Agent Orange.
I guess, yeah, they nailed it.
It's like, what?
That was a really good salesman. Like a really good salesman.
And money wasn't the only thing they had to burn. Yeah.
He can sell Agent Orange, let me tell you.
Jewish.
So now,
Could sell Agent Orange to the VC. That's genius.
all right. So in the 60s, they started up a chemical processing facility in Verona, Missouri, which is a small town clear on the other side of the state from Times Beach.
All right. So the big water company deal with the guys from thalidomide fell through. Where do we go from here? Does anybody
Crazy
have
they fell through their
Agent
hands too
Orange
because they're
guy?
flippers, so they don't.
Oh, Jesus
You
Christ.
should catch it
Well,
better
they're
with
real estate
flippers.
flippers.
Yeah, you
Cecil.
should catch it better with flippers. So I don't know.
All right. So in the early 70s, this facility was primarily involved in the production of hexachlorophyll.
Bless you.
Yeah, thanks. Which is an antibacterial agent used in soaps, toothpaste, and household disinfectants, or was anyway. It's also, used in scary ads by all natural con artists trying to convince you to smear orange juice over your countertops rather than properly disinfecting them, which is why, and I've been telling chemistry this for years, they need to start naming their chemical compounds after My Little Ponies.
Good choice.
It'd make the
idea.
job so much harder for the Gwyneth Paltrows and shit of the world. All right, so back to this chemistry talk here. Hexachlorophene is synthesized from formaldehyde and 2,4,5 trichlorophenol, which itself is synthesized from 1,2,4,5
Oh my God.
tetrachlorobenzene by the
Oh my
nucleophilic aromatic substitution reaction,
Oh my god.
which sounds sexy as hell to me. But unfortunately,
Really?
the instantaneous dimerization of the resulting phenol produces trace amounts of 2,3,7,8
sake.
tetrachlorodibenzo P-dioxin, or TCDD.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate.
It was, yeah.
That's-
So, okay. Most of the details I included just to piss Tom off, but that last
Nailed it.
one actually matters to the story because it's an extremely toxic compound that falls into a larger category of industrial toxins known as dioxins. Despite sounding like a portmanteau of dying toxin, dioxin is a pretty broad category of compounds, and their toxicity varies widely. Dioxins and dioxin-like compounds are grouped together because they're similar in terms of their mechanisms of action, but the toxicity from one to another varies by 5 orders of magnitude. The most toxic, however, are the aforementioned TCDDs. Exposure to even relatively low doses of that can kill small animals. It can lead to dental deformities, skin diseases, lowered sperm counts in humans.
Okay, can I subscribe and save? Because that,
Yeah,
that caught my
you
attention.
can
I'm
collect them all. Yeah, no. All right, so in high enough doses, it's fatal, which, I mean, that sounds scarier than it probably should because that's true of all substances.
Not love, Noah. Not love.
Tell that to Lenny, Heath.
Really? Of mice and men?
Thank you.
Yeah, let's take those mentally disabled people down a peg. That's important.
He was helping him. It's not about.
Best laid plans of mice and men end up on citation needed. That's for sure.
He told him about the rabbits. It's fine. He's fine.
All right, so you can't
George
go
Kelly.
putting highly toxic shit that kills rabbits and turns people's teeth into oatmeal in your soap, right? Or at least you shouldn't, and Nepico knew that. So they came up with this distillation process that took the amount of TCDDs in the finished product down from 3 to 5 parts per million to 0.1 parts per million, which was considered, at least by them, acceptable from consumer products. But this led to a new problem for the company because the other end of this purification process is a shit ton of leftover dioxins. Specifically, they've got this thick, toxic, oily residue that the Wikipedia article refers to as still bottoms, which I guess is because that's what's left at the bottom of the still. Yeah, right. But it also could be because they figured this episode needed a good in for some ass humor right
Bottoms,
now.
yeah.
It could have been
Yeah,
that
right,
too.
right. Still bottoms is when you can get someone to ask who died in here when they use the bathroom after you. That's what a still bottom is.
Still bottom's also the number one mistake in starting up butt sex. The top is still.
Right.
The top is still.
Right.
It's like a titration. You got to add the
You
acid
gotta
to the
add
water,
it.
not the water. You have
Right.
to pay attention.
still bottoms, a badge of honor for someone willing to give it another chance.
That was really good, guys. You're real. I'm impressed. Okay,
Still
so-
bottoms after all these years. Just pause. It's nothing.
You still impressed
All right.
after all these years?
No, that's actually no, okay. I appreciate you bringing the average right back to my expectation a little bit. Where I think all right. So this sounds terrifying, but the proper way to get rid of these dioxins is through incineration. Something about turning highly toxic sludge into smoke that strikes me as bad, but apparently that actually was the correct thing to do in this instance, or at least that's what they thought then. But you still couldn't just toss it on a bonfire and make s'mores, right? There was a rigorous process for proper incineration.
But yeah, incinerate it in a poor neighborhood and then make s'mores.
That sounds correct.
Spoilers. This is my story. So at first, Nepico was sending their still bottoms down to a waste disposal facility in Louisiana. I love that sentence so much. But that was super expensive. It gets even better when I add that little clause there. So they start looking for ways to get rid of their extremely dangerous industrial poison on the cheap.
Okay, guys, have we tried liquefying the entire jungle of Vietnam? We have.
Actually,
Okay, what about suburban St. Louis? Is what the next thing I thought of was that.
Less complaints.
yeah. All right, so ultimately they end up contracting out this work to one of their suppliers, a company called Independent Petrochemical Corporation, or IPC, because they figured, like, you know, with a word like petrochemical in their title, they must know a little something about safely disposing of dioxins. That's literally the reasoning, but of course they didn't.
What?
So
It's not called Independent Dioxin Corporation.
Nope, nothing like that. No, it had chemical in it, though, so they were pretty confident. So this company turns to a more experienced subcontractor, their buddy Russ.
What is this? This company has friends?
Okay, so specifically, this is Russell Martin Bliss, who owned a local waste oil business. IPC charged Nepico $3,000, which would be like, this is in 1970, so this would be like $20,000 in today's money, for every load of toxic waste they picked up, and then they gave Bliss $125 to disappear it.
Okay,
That's really smart.
Is that shitty paper boy who just shoves all the papers in the dumpster near his house available? No, he's doing something in Vietnam. Okay, let's go with Russell. Let's go with Russell.
Yeah, so, you know, he grew up to become Russell Bliss. Yeah, so over a period of 9 months, Bliss collected 6 truckloads totaling over 18,000 gallons of chemical waste. And since he didn't have the slightest fucking clue what to do with any of it, he just put it all in the same vats that he kept his used motor oil in.
God, okay, based on what you told us so far, I'm guessing he bought those from a molasses company in Boston from back in the day?
No, because then this disaster would be so much more localized. So you might be thinking to yourself, hold on a second, didn't he have to be licensed to handle that stuff? Or maybe you're thinking, wasn't Nepico required to account for what happened to all their toxic waste? And if you were, you know, congratulations on growing up in one of them generations where we weren't given carcinogens to play with. But no, this story happens in 1971, back when America was already great again. And it was damn near the wild, wild west when it came to waste disposal.
You know, after the last 3 years, I guarantee not a single one of us was thinking you needed to be licensed to handle that stuff. You know?
Okay, fair.
After the last 3 years, I was wondering where I can buy some to drink. So
These shooters.
Keep going with the mango nectar. You'll be fine.
Flint, Michigan has it coming right out of the taps, actually. It's fine.
Actually, yeah. Okay, so now I should be clear that there was a nascent environmental movement by 1971. Rachel Carson's enormously influential book Silent Spring was published in 1962 and is largely considered kind of like, you know, the fuse that lit the public involvement in environmental issues. In fact, the EPA began operation in December of 1970, so it was actually a couple of months old by the time Bliss picked up his first truckload of noxious sludge, though at first it was just taxed with setting guidelines and had no enforcement or regulatory powers. So for whatever it's worth, 1971 is kind of like the tail end of the just try not to make candy out of it era of toxic waste disposal.
Just try.
I knew there was a reason they stopped selling Nerds Rope. Those sons of bitches. Love Nerds Rope.
True story. When I was growing up, my dad used to pour paint and oil and wood stain, varnish, and on at least one occasion, pharmaceutical grade cocaine and heroin down the sewer drain in front of his house in the
Jesus
street.
Christ.
And that last part's crazy. Why would you do that?
I used to think that was irresponsible, but I now realize that he was just like building his early 80s chemical disposal CV.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Career.
Yeah. So what did you do with 18,000 gallons of toxic waste back before the EPA had enforcement powers? Well, in Russell Bliss's case, you just kind of sprayed it around.
Whatever
Here, right on there.
What? This would be better as an aerosol.
You are not
Exactly.
being detained.
So, in addition to owning a waste oil facility, Russell also owned a horse arena and farm.
A
I don't know
what?
why I'm calling it a horse arena. The wiki article kept referring to it as that, so I'm sure I'm making some horse nerd happy by using the term. But we're talking about like an enclosed indoor arena where you would have horse competitions and whatnot.
Feels like a really big space for a horse spelling bee, but whatever. Do whatever you want there, I guess. I don't know.
They all tie anyway.
Yeah.
I was picturing like horse gladiatorial fights, you know, just
That'd be so much better. Okay, now you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, I bet when you get a bunch of horses stomping around in an enclosed dirt-floored area, it gets really dusty. Well, no worries. Russell Bliss had just the thing. Waste oil mixed with dioxin-rich still bottoms.
No,
Sounds
that
amazing.
doesn't seem like the thing.
So he sprayed the ground with waste oil to keep the dust down. And it worked so well that soon all the horse arenas were hiring Russell for his famed dust suppressant services.
Okay, we're in a place that needs dust suppressant services. Like, if a tornado of dust is a feature of your public arena, you're already stupid. And now the tornadoes are smaller, but also that whirl is poison.
Yeah.
Poison. Situation is serious. And we'll find out how serious after a quick break for some apropos of nothing.
That whirl is poison.
Culturally ignorant motherfuckers.
Poison.
Belle Biv DeVoe.
Poison.
Oh my God.
I got it. I heard it. I
Thank
got
you.
you.
Cecil,
I got
Jesus
you.
Christ, one person.
No idea what was going on there. I was
Oh
like,
my God.
he wrote his sentence weird.
I thought the same thing. I was like, he doesn't usually speak.
You're
like
the
that.
whitest
That's odd
people.
to me.
Mr. Bliss, I am the representative from IPC, Independent Petrochemical Corporation. I'm here to inspect your facility.
All right. Come on over, fella. Just right over this way. Come on over.
I'm sorry, this is your containment facility?
Yes, sirree, Bob, it is.
It's a barn with a collapsed roof?
Isn't she a beaut? I think she's still got two good sides.
Nope. No. Is that a pile of loose gunpowder on the floor next to that hay and other very flammable material?
Yeah, we're real careful with it. Don't worry. We make sure not to smoke when we're moving around or when we hit it. We don't do any of that.
I'm sorry, when you what now?
Well, we have to remediate the gunpowder here. So every day we whack it a few times with this shovel to help it retrograde.
Do you mean biodegrade?
I said what I said, boy.
Great. Okay. And are those over there, are those just free roaming bears?
What? Those aren't. No.
Okay, one, why do you have bears at all? And two, I disagree. They are pretty much just walking free.
Well, hold on now. I reckon that I do some animal control housing for the government, and they're fine. They're behind a sheet wall I put up last week. They pretty much stay in there. They rarely come out and maim people.
I'm not sure that we can do business.
Well, right here is where I would store your cancer juice. Right in here, safe and sound in this old leaky oil barrel. Right here.
Yeah, I think we're going to go with somebody
You
else.
give me, let's say, let's make it 125 American dollars, and I will take it off your hands forever.
I'm sorry, did you just say $125?
Yes, sirree, and not a penny more. I won't accept a penny more for it.
Mr. Bliss, I do not think I have ever toured such a top-notch facility. We think our cancer juice will be safe in your hands, sir.
Pooh, stop chewing on that barrel now. Get off that barrel, boy.
And we're back. When we left off, 2378 tetrachlorodibenzo P-dioxin was emerging from a nucleophilic aromatic substitution reaction. And then Noah stopped flirting and told us about a horse arena owner vertically integrating into the toxic sludge sector. That's next.
Great summary. Okay, so before we move on, I want to take a second to emphasize that it's really fucking stupid to suppress dust by spraying used motor oil all over the ground.
Oh, now you tell me.
If that hasn't been marinating like toxic byproducts of soap production along the way, right? So this is already bad going in. But again, giving a fuck about Earth was in its infancy at the time. So plenty of horse owners were quick to pay Bliss to spray down their indoor arenas and stables.
It's so the horses could drift easy around those tight corners.
Or,
Nice.
or Toreador drift, if you will. Toreador.
Yeah.
You think those are horses?
The visual of the horse going like when my cats get scared of the UPS guys.
And the back legs are going faster than the front. They're just like, you're like, how's that
They can't get
possible?
going on the linoleum.
No purchase at all here.
That one of them just shows off by drifting right into the stable, just like parallel parks himself right in there.
Vin Diesel spins his horse around. It's going backwards around.
There's all these jockeys with like Vin Diesel faces on tiny bodies. Just
I'm sold.
guys, we're investing in a fucking oil spill horse arena.
Absolutely.
We'll call it the Valdez Horse Arena.
They're already open in Florida.
All right. So, all right. So one of the first people to notice that anything was amiss here were the owners of the Shenandoah stable near Moscow Mills, Missouri. After paying Bliss $150 to spray 2,000 gallons of waste oil on the floor of their arena, they noticed a pungent burning odor. Those are the words the Wikipedia article uses.
Okay.
Pungent burning odor. I don't know if that means that it smelled like something was burning or that like smelling it burned your nose.
Yes.
But like given the shit they were spraying, I feel like either could be true.
It could be both. Yeah.
Mr. Bliss, should my horse's legs melt up to the knees when it goes across the surface? Is that normal?
Dude, just call him Knee Biscuit. You're fine.
Brilliant.
Yeah, hey, so I probably should have mentioned when I hired you, I definitely want less dust. You nailed that one. But I also definitely do not want combustible horses. I think I have combustible horses now. That one's on me. I should have.
End of the job. Yeah, that doesn't help. No. All right. So, but it wasn't just the odor that tipped them off. There's something might be wrong. There was also all the dead shit. So pretty much immediately after the spraying, they started noticing Act 1 of a horror movie shit happening, like birds dropping dead out of the rafters and unusual sores and bald spots on their horses.
Jesus.
Within a few months of the spraying, 62 of their horses had either died or become so emaciated from unexplained illnesses that they had to be euthanized.
Fuck.
On top of that, the couple that owned the ranch also had 2 young daughters who started developing headaches, nosebleeds, abdominal pain, and diarrhea so bad that it was mentioned in a Wikipedia article 50 years later.
Okay, that's fair. People get touchy about the homophone euthanasia. I get it.
How fucking mortifying would it to be like, oh, this is going to be fun. Let's Google ourselves. And I'm famous for that time in middle school when I pissed out of my asshole every night for a week. That was great.
Yeah.
I love the internet. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, right. Okay, so now for his part, Bliss kept insisting he hadn't sprayed anything but used motor oil on the floor, which, while fucked up, wouldn't cause dead horses and sick daughters. But that was a fucking lie. He's the one that put the dioxin contaminated shit in with the oil, so we know good and damn well that he knew other shit was in there. But the ranch owners went ahead, had the top 6 inches of soil removed from the arena and hauled off to a landfill, which turned out to not be enough.
Yeah, it looks like in order to fix this, you're going to have to dig down to the water table and just use that to wash the hell out of the dirt. Just wash it.
Right.
You know.
So about a month later, another arena Bliss sprayed had similar problems. A dozen horses died. Children who had been in the arena started coming down with chloracne, which is a skin problem that's common to people who have been exposed to dioxins. I couldn't confirm the etymology, but I'm pretty sure that the term just means chlorine acne, as in skin irritation caused by chlorine exposure. Less than a month later, a third ranch Bliss had sprayed had the same problem.
Baby Brian Kemp opens 4 more ranches just to be sure.
All right, so the EPA was prepubescent at the time, but we did have a CDC, and back then they were a trusted scientific institution. When scores of horses started dying and horses started getting sick at the Shenandoah stable, they sent out a team to investigate, but not all the way or anything. Keep in mind, the stable's owners already pegged the culprit.
That's hot.
And somehow the CDC managed to miss it. They did question Bliss as part of their investigation, but he just lied more.
Yeah.
Are you trying to hide a cancer-filled oil tanker behind your back there, Russ? Is that what's going on?
No? What? No. You want to buy a humidifier?
All right, so the CDC did not interview anybody from Nepico, but in their defense, that's because the investigation started in 1973. They had gone out of business in 1972 when the FDA issued a ban that limited the use of hexachlorophene because it turned out that the thing that they were making that had a toxic byproduct was itself toxic. So,
God.
We paid that guy to spray horse poison for nothing. This is the worst. This is that was $100.
so
God.
ultimately,
What?
the CDC made the wrong call. To their credit, it was the 70s. Every consumer product had a deadly poison in it back then. They were pretty sure that the problem that they had here was something that had a relatively short lifespan in the wild, right? So they figured it was going to take another year plus of study to narrow down what the exact culprit was. And they also figured that by then that would have like worked itself out in payroll.
Wait. They were really thinking like, well, by the time we solve the problems will just die. This was when the CDC was a more trusted institution, by the way. I feel
correct.
good. I feel...
Well, that
Better.
the chemical would have broken down is what they were thinking. So meanwhile, Bliss is still spraying away with his contaminated sludge.
Yeah, and by now he's marketing as a fucking sprinkler attachment for kids on hot summer days. Just
free chloracne with every game. And that brings us back to the sad little ghost town that the episode's named after, right? So Times Beach was never the wealthy community that the newspaper dreamed it would be. Instead, it was just this broke-ass town that never even raised enough money to pave their roads.
Okay, well, the stilts for all the roads are expensive. You got to buy those first. And the dirt just falls right off the stilts, like right away. It's
No,
dumb.
it's tough. It's tough. You got
Man.
a lot of dirt.
Doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, okay. So all of these dirt roads made their town pretty damn dusty, but luckily somebody had a guy. And in 1972, the town paid Bliss $2,400 to spray about 160,000 gallons of tainted waste oil onto their roads. This process went on over a period of 4 years.
Just a guy shaking his St. Louis Star-Times newspaper, trying to get all the oil off of it. Just can't get it all off of there.
how does this fucking keep happening?
Sir, we have a problem with our dirt roads.
Yeah, is it that they're dirt? Because that's...
Well, in a manner of speaking, yes. You see, there's a lot of dust everywhere, and that's really annoying.
Okay, well, have you tried spraying them down with water?
Water? No, then we'd just have mud, and the dust would come back when the water dried up, so that's not going to fix this.
Okay, all right, I see. Well, we need something that won't dry up, I guess. Something that we can...
Yeah. So I got this cousin, Russ. He's got a whole thing where he sprays motor oil on dust.
Yeah, oh, okay. Well, that would get rid of the dust. Are there any drawbacks, though? I'm just thinking it through.
I mean, not much. Obviously, the roads would be greasy and flammable, but that's about it. That's all.
Yeah, well, that's obviously a lot better than dust. I mean, unless he does something stupid like add poison to it.
Yeah, that would be the... Do you want to buy a humidifier?
All right, so fast forward to 1979, 3 years after all the road spraying was complete. A former employee of Nepico comes forward to the EPA and they say, hey, back in the day, we buried a fuck ton of toxic waste in people's yards and shit. Do you guys have a department for that? Or anything specifically unrelated to any of this story.
Apropos of nothing.
Well, I got you on the line.
Funny story. I just thought of this. Oh, man. You guys just now start something that'll deal with this?
Well, okay. So specifically, he reported that the company had paid a local farmer $150 to let them bury 90 leaky, corroded drums of industrial poison on his property. Yeah. Well, and apparently the farmer was like, are you kidding? We spray that shit on our horse arenas around here. No big deal. And he took the money.
This is great. I'm going to save a fortune on Dapper Dan and Crisco and KY. This is great.
Super, probably the most slipperiest horses in 3 counties. So
you guys want a caprese salad?
Yeah.
So the EPA goes back out to check, and sure enough, they find 90 barrels of toxic waste leaking all over the place. And included in those are 11 barrels containing these still bottoms. Now, if you'll recall, the original process had 3 to 5 million parts per million of this dioxin, and that was considered way too dangerous for consumers by 1971 standards, right? Many of these still bottoms had dioxins in excess of 2,000 parts per million.
I'm presuming there's no dioxin man superhero we never heard about from the 70s then? Is that not a thing?
No, Cecil.
Dioxic Avenger.
Oh, no, Cecil, there were plenty of dioxin men. Just, their powers were mostly like coughing and dying and stuff. They weren't really...
We'll get there. Okay, so the presence of these dioxins leads the EPA to revisit all those mysterious horse illnesses in that general area years ago. And sure enough, they find that not only are there traces of that very same dioxin, but far worse, the dioxin levels are about the same as they were when the CDC checked that soil some 8 years earlier. Right? So this left the EPA with a huge problem in terms of a cleanup. The contamination was spread all over the fucking place, and nobody was entirely sure what would be required to fix the problem or what the long-term effects on the people and animals exposed to it would be. So here the EPA is taking their sweet fucking time figuring out what to do when they inherit themselves a ticking clock in the form of a leaked EPA document that the Environmental Defense Fund published in 1982. So the document shows that the EPA is aware of several sites where toxic chemicals have been sprayed, including every road in some small town. And instead of immediately warning everyone about it, they discussed it at length in committee.
Oh, gosh, that would be terrible if they did something like that with a serious problem like global warming or something. That would be awful.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to warn us about that. Yeah. So now I'm going to come to the EPA's defense a little bit here because I've been using the term toxic waste pretty liberally here, but it's fair to say that they had no idea how serious a problem they were dealing with. Yes, this shit is mad toxic, but there was very little data on what the results of the exposure in humans was, how much you'd have to be exposed to before it caused any problems, and what kind of problems those might be.
Hey, quick congrats to Noah for being the first person to use the term mad toxic and not be talking about their 8th grade boyfriend. I know it's not related. It's just...
Well, he was also, you know what? That's a totally different story. So it's not like the EPA, though, can just go out and say, hey, guys, we found a bunch of toxic chemicals all over the fucking town. We don't know what they're going to do or anything, right? They have to answer these basic questions. Keep in mind that they weren't responding to some ongoing health crisis or anything. Yes, a bunch of horses and birds died a decade earlier and a bunch of kids got sick, but there was no unexplained illness that they had to account for at that time.
Okay, please release oil-eating cobra snakes that turn into dragons. Please release oil-eating cobra snakes that turn into dragons.
Find Noah show.
Yeah, the fucking final episode of Citation Needed. So none of that mattered, of course, because once this shit hit the press, the story was the EPA knew some evil chemical company exposed some poor town to toxic chemicals and didn't warn them. The leaked documents listed 14 confirmed and 41 possibly contaminated sites, including the entire town of Times Beach. That leaked document was the first anyone in Times Beach heard about this.
Well, it's a good thing they got that free paper then, wasn't it?
All right. So on December 3rd, 1982, the Merrimack River breached its banks and Times Beach was flooded. This was not an unusual occurrence, of course, being that it was built on a goddamn floodplain, but this would be the worst flood in its history. The entire town was evacuated.
Yeah, except for all those people living in their stilt houses, laughing and throwing stones, skipping stones.
Oh, that'd be sweet. You'd have like a good angle. You came up high right next to your porch.
You have to get the stones in advance, but yes. But you just keep a supply, I'm sure, in a town like that. All right, so before they could come back, the CDC was issuing recommendations that the city not be re-inhabited. Ultimately, the federal government bought out the town for the price of $36.7 million and relocated the town's 2,000 plus residents.
Man, I hope they got their newspaper subscription forwarded after that.
Otherwise, this would be a real rip-off.
Right?
Yeah.
Why even have a house? That's ridiculous.
All right, so in 1985, the town was officially disincorporated. And interesting side note, the town was disincorporated by then Governor John Ashcroft. Because you would be hard-pressed to find a story about industrial waste in U.S. history that doesn't at least tangentially involve John Ashcroft.
So fucking well.
Yeah, it's like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but with childhood cancer. It's fun.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes, exactly.
John Ashcroft of Chicago, Illinois, everybody.
So... now, there's an important note on this whole story, right? So nobody in Times Beach ever got sick or anything. right? That needs to be part of the story here. I'm not trying to defend Nepico or Bliss or the idea of spraying industrial waste around on your dirt roads, but later research strongly suggests that there was never any real justification for the town being evacuated.
Yeah, but still, I miss when we didn't wait for people to die to do stuff about stuff.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, it would have been nice to still have that policy this
remember?
year.
This is a
right?
good way to
Remember?
be wrong.
Yeah,
Remember the responsible 70s? So cool.
Well, okay, but so here's the thing, though. In this case, it was knowable at the time, right? There were definitely some merits to the, better safe than sorry approach, but the upheaval of being forcibly relocated and led to fear for their health and the health of their children based on misinterpreted data in a newspaper was almost certainly more harmful than their minimal exposure to dioxin.
Okay, masks are stupid. Got it.
Noah's been spending way too much time around me, you guys. We gotta
So
an exchange
right, so the
program.
difference here is that the stuff I'm saying is actually the scientific consensus as near as I can tell.
Bless you.
I'm a pretend expert here, right? Yeah. So in a weird twist for this show, though, no people died in this story. So, but this story could have been so much worse because I looked at the spot where the town used to be on Google Maps, and I was surprised to find that it is not 3 goddamn miles from Six Flags over St. Louis,
Really?
which opened in 1971. I'm just saying we came really close to having our sequel to the Action Park episode, okay?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like every once in a while, that's a water park, right? With the river right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
That I should really pay a lot of attention to the blanks that are left in the essay.
Masks are stupid. Got it. And are you ready for the quiz?
More so than I was ready to summarize what I learned in the single sentence, at least.
All right, Noah. We learned earlier of a possible dioxin-based superhero. What alter ego would that superhero go by? A. Louis Chemia, B. Gratastasis, C. Melvin Anoma, or D. Victor Yushchenko.
Oh, that was good. That's good. I think that last one's there to distract me. I think the actual answer is E. Boney Stark.
Very good. Very good. That's the answer, actually. You got it.
All right, Noah. This started out as a story about a stilt-based vacation community built on a floodplain outside of St. Louis, Missouri, and strangely ended with A, the same number of final residents it would have had even without Big Russ's discount dust and horse removal.
That is correct.
Oh, I love it when you keep it easy on me. Yes, A. I'm going to go with A.
God.
All right,
Bye,
Noah.
Adam.
What is the Times Beach official city song? A. Singing in the chemical drain. B. Itchy country roads.
Okay.
C. Spray con me.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Spray.
Toxic by
yeah.
Britney Spears.
Toxic.
Going
There
toxic.
you go.
Yeah.
We don't have a part of the show that you guys are bad at.
You want to tap in Cecil?
Oh, it's a new segment on Citation Needed where he tells a woman he loves her. I'll do that at the end of every fucking show. We'll see how well that fucking goes.
You could just ask a question that's based on the topic and like the actual material and not do that's
You guys do good puns,
I didn't do a pun at all. I haven't done puns for weeks.
but you took the one answer joke thing.
All right, don't even answer. Eli wins, apparently. Great.
Thank you.
Moving on.
Sometimes
I do.
Eli has to win.
I do win. Thank you, Heath. I love
God.
you. Winner.
Live and let dioxin would have been good too. I think.
Straight off the
Can you just
dome.
tap him in, man? Just it's you're the tag team, and one guy's obviously the one who's going to win, and the other one's
Yeah.
not. Like, just don't.
I'm your Iron Sheik. Anyway, I choose Tom. Tom is doing essay next week.
Oh,
Great. All right. Well, for Tom, Noah, Cecil, and Eli, I'm Heath. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Tom will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can hear Tom and Cecil on Cognitive Dissonance, and you can hear Eli, Noah, and myself on God Awful Movies, The Scathing Atheist, Skeptocrat, and D&D Minus. And if anyone's feeling generous, for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day, you can pay Donald Trump's income tax for an entire year, literally. Or you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod. If you'd like to get in touch with us, listen to past episodes, connect with us on social media, take a look at the show notes, check out citationpod.com.
And this here is where we keep the fire milk.
I'm sorry, fire milk?
Yeah, well, that's what we call it. It comes out of the teat there, and it's like
Stop right there!
oh no, it's the newly formed EPA.
That's right. Now, pretty please with sugar on top. Stop doing whatever you're doing.
I'm gonna go with no on this one.
Damn it. Well, did all I could.
Hey, you wanna blaze up this fire milk with us?
Hell yeah, I want to blaze up some fire milk.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get-started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get-started.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.